Hey everyone, and welcome to What Did I Miss? Where today I'll be going over 10 reasons to get excited for the upcoming and newest addition to the Star Trek franchise, Strange New Worlds. First, if you are a follower of this channel and my second channel, WDIM+, I am sorry that I have not been posting as much recently. If you are interested, I put up a post on the community page of this channel detailing why this has happened, but hopefully I'll be back to my normal schedule starting this week. Also, I did put out a video in February of this year of about 5 story ideas I believe we will see on Strange New Worlds, and I will link that in the description and the video if you would like to see it. But for this video, I'm going to discuss 10 aspects of this series that I expect to be different from the other Star Trek series currently being produced, and why I'm more excited for this to debut than any other series. If this is your first time here, my name is Eric, and on this channel I cover all the sci-fi stories and characters I love. So be sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you have not yet. One of the most beloved aspects of Star Trek that has gotten a bit lost in the newer iterations of the franchise is the wagon train in space concept that the original series was based on. A big part of the draw of that series was what new and interesting planets and aliens the crew would meet each week. The writers of Strange New Worlds, as well as some of the cast members, have already stated that their show will operate in this manner more so than any other Star Trek series currently being produced, and will not have as many stories that need multiple episodes to resolve. This does not mean we will not see growth from these characters, some of which we are already familiar with, but it does mean that the show will be a bit easier to watch, given that unlike some other series in the Star Trek catalog, Strange New Worlds may be one that you can jump back into at any time and not worry that you have missed out on something important to the plot of the entire series. What may be a common theme along this list is that I believe that one thing Strange New Worlds will definitely benefit from is that the writers can learn from Discovery and Picard and not make those same mistakes. As a YouTube content creator, I believe that most of us start out thinking that we can create videos that we like to make and that others will too, but you quickly learn it doesn't really work like that. In order to make videos that people will like, you have to become what is known as audience obsessed and learn everything you can about the people watching your videos. Then when you create content, not only does it come from a place of your own inspiration, but you can also use this knowledge about your audience to help curate your content. I think that is exactly what Alex Kurtzman and Paramount are doing with Strange New Worlds, and taking everything they have learned in the past few years and not repeating what did not work. This gives the series a huge advantage, honestly, and may give them an edge that the other series just won't be able to replicate. In truth, this series only exists because Paramount did listen to the fans after this new crew appeared on Star Trek Discovery's second season, and then greenlit Strange New Worlds based on the response. One of the biggest disappointments I think that all fans of Star Trek Discovery can agree on is that the reasoning behind the burn was a bit of a letdown. Much like how many fans were unhappy with the end of WandaVision, which also had fans buzzing with theories, the third season of Discovery kind of stops in its tracks once you learn that this galactic catastrophe was caused by a child. As in WandaVision, this is the troubling aspect of creating mystery box storylines, or stories that promise a big reveal related to an event in the story that fans can talk about and obsess over until it eventually comes. More often than not, especially in large fandoms like Star Trek and Marvel, these stories are not able to create a large enough payoff for the fans and end up hurting the overall narrative more than helping it. I myself created a theory about the burn during Star Trek Discovery's third season, and I had comments that stated that while my theory was incorrect, it was more interesting than the actual cause. I highly doubt that Strange New Worlds will ever use this trope, and I honestly doubt if we will ever see any season-long story threads on Star Trek again. Another aspect of Strange New Worlds that makes me believe it will be a success is that I expect it to be very self-aware. What I mean by that is I expect the show to not only create thrilling stories, but also understand that it is a Star Trek show and that fans want to see things that tie the series to other stories and casts. Honestly, my favorite aspect of the first season of Star Trek Lower Decks were all the Easter eggs and callbacks that series created, and I know I'm not the only one. Even star of Strange New Worlds, Rebecca Romijn, has come out and said to expect to see callbacks often on the series, and if you love Easter eggs too, make sure you have subscribed to this channel because I'll be covering each and every episode once they come out. I recently did a video where I found and discussed all the Easter eggs in the Season 2 Picard teaser, and I will link that in the description and the video if you would like to watch it. I hope that we not only see the obvious callbacks, because I love to rewatch episodes and find even the most minuscule reference, and I believe that Strange New Worlds will make it a point to do just that. While Spock is the most popular character of the 3 main characters on Strange New Worlds, there is no question that Anson Mount's portrayal of Captain Pike has been one of the biggest surprises and positive additions to the Trek character pantheon. I don't think since Sir Patrick Stewart arrived as Captain Picard has an actor so immediately garnered the respect of the fans for his portrayal of the titular character of their series, and don't forget, he is the 4th actor now to play this role. I'm not going to go into the long history of the character here, but if you are interested, check out this Strange New Worlds video I've linked in the video and the description. But in my opinion, I think that Anson Mount is going to be a breakout star for this series, and don't be surprised if he is used more and more as a focal point of the franchise by Paramount. The character was even featured heavily in the Paramount Plus channel promotions, more so than his Star Trek colleagues, which could be a hint that the company has already gleaned his popularity level from the fans. Of course, this series is built on the plot lines used in the original series episodes The Cage, as well as The Menagerie, and both displayed the connection that Spock and Captain Pike seem to have. I always thought that Spock saw Kirk as more of a foil, but as a friend, not so much a teacher, but more of an equal. However, Spock's relationship with Pike does seem to be a bit different, as Spock does see Pike as a mentor and someone he admires. I'm really interested to see the events on Strange New Worlds and how this relationship becomes so strong that Spock will later kidnap Pike and the Enterprise in the episode The Menagerie in an effort to save his captain. If you do not recall, the planet that Spock sends the Enterprise and Pike to is Talos 4, which at that time was forbidden from being visited under the penalty of death. But still, Spock feels so much admiration for his former captain that he risks many lives, including those of his friends and crew, in order to get Pike there. Another aspect of the series that the cast and crew have been very vocal about is that this crew will be very close and we will see more camaraderie than we have recently. I argue that this is also one of the best aspects of the animated series Star Trek Lower Decks, but perhaps this is another example of the writers on Strange New Worlds learning what has worked on other shows. I've always loved the tedious everyday scenes on Star Trek because to me they make the world the show exists in more real. Not to say I want to see a whole episode of a crew changing out self-stealing stun bolts, but I do appreciate a show that does not have to rely on large battles or shocking moments to keep my attention. The one character that is said to be the focal point of the crew's comfortability with each other is Una, or Number One, played by Rebecca Romijn, and she is said to act as a mother figure to the crew and especially to Spock. If you recall, the last thing that Burnham said to Spock before she was sent to the future was for him to reach out to new people. This of course was alluding to his future relationship with Kirk and McCoy, but I'm sure we will see that Spock's relationship with Pike, Number One, and other members of this Enterprise will lead him there as well. One of the most fascinating aspects of the series is the time period which it inhabits, which is 10 years before the first episode of Star Trek, not including the pilot. This gives the series plenty of time to create their own adventures, but it also means that they could bump into a lot of things we recognize. It will also be interesting to see if the behavior and motivations of Captain Pike change at all during this time, due to the fact that during his appearance on Discovery, he was shown his ultimate fate after retrieving a time crystal, which is that he will be horribly injured in an accident. He also was not shown the events that happen after, where Spock does return him to the planet Talos 4, so at this time he is not aware that this will happen. If you believe that this timeline is the correct one, then nothing will stop the events of the episode The Menagerie, or any other events that we know to happen in Star Trek, but the franchise has made a good living creating alternate timelines and universes. So who's to say that the timeline that this Pike inhabits isn't different than the original, and that anything could conceivably happen over the next 10 years in the Star Trek universe? Recasting beloved characters is a very dangerous game, but the franchise seems to have got it right with the three lead characters of Strange New Worlds. I already mentioned Anson Mount and Rebecca Romijn's characters, but Ethan Peck as Spock has also done a phenomenal job of creating a learning version of the character, which is in contrast to the stoic oracle that we are used to seeing the character portrayed as. When the rest of the cast list was released, most people were surprised that there were not any other names on the cast that Star Trek fans would recognize, but don't expect only new characters to show up in the future. Given the timeline of the series, it is in a perfect position to slowly introduce known characters here and there and give fans a new insight on their favorite ones, like Uhura or Scotty, while not making the series like a Muppet Babies version of the original series of Star Trek. There are even some people that believe this has already occurred and that the show has just not told us that they have recast known characters with new actors. Again, the producers of this show do not want to overcrowd the series with characters we already know, but I do believe that we will see younger versions of the characters we know and love, and these could range from background to major characters. I'm sure the series is already considering how they will eventually bring James Kirk into the story, who I believe is serving on the USS Farragut during the time this series takes place. In a sort of contrast to my last point, I would also expect Strange New Worlds to bring back actors as the character they played prior, and possibly very early on. Star Trek has sort of a tradition in which characters from other series will appear in the first episode of a new series, such as when Dr. McCoy appeared in the pilot episode of The Next Generation, Captain Picard appeared in the first episode of Deep Space Nine, plus Quark and others on DS9 appeared in the first episode of Voyager. Since Strange New Worlds is banking on the nostalgia of fans to be a big part of the draw of the series, I would not be surprised if this is another institution from the franchise that they will use. There are two characters that seem to pop up the most in these conversations, and both are from the last Star Trek series to air before the release of Discovery, and that is the series Enterprise and the characters Captain Archer and T'Pol. Not only are both characters fan favorites from Enterprise, but given the importance of each character to the future of the Star Trek universe and the Federation, it would be pretty easy to write either into the series. I would also expect some villains to show up too, similar to how Rainn Wilson as Harry Mudd showed up to mess with the crew of the Discovery. Having the series jump from new location to new location each week gives the writers basically an open book on which stories and characters they would like to use, and I bet that this will be the lasting formula if the series is indeed a success. Well, those are 10 things I expect to see in Strange New Worlds that you should be excited for, but let me know in the comments if there is anything I missed. Thank you once again for clicking on this video, and please hit that like button if you have enjoyed it, and I will see you next time on What Did I Miss?